Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how we can spin up a virtual Velocloud Edge appliance on an ESXi environment. So before we start, let's look at some of the prerequisites. So if you go to techdocs.broadcom.com and look up, um, you know, just VMware Virtual Edge deployment, you'll land on this page. Once you select the right version that your edge needs to run, Um, just go through the best practices and recommendations, for us to run virtual edge appliance on an ESXi environment. So in particular, so let's say if you are running a virtual edge with two vCPUs, we recommend running 8 gig RAM and 8 gig hard disk. So I mean, obviously you can go, up if you want more storage and things like that. But yeah, this is what we recommend. There's another hard requirement where your ESXi environment, or rather the ESXi host, needs to have AES-NI CPU capability enabled. How to check that is using another KB article, and I'll share all these links. But yeah, so there is a way to check whether AES-NI is enabled and detected, well detected and enabled on an ESXi environment. So what you do is you SSH to your ESXi host and then run this command. Um, and once you get the output from that command, you look for the ECX column. You look at the row number 1, pick that value, convert that into binary, and look for the 25th bit from the right. So that's group of 4, so 16, 20, 24, 25. So in this case, it's 0, right, in this example, which means if it is 0, it means AES-NI is not enabled, right? If it is 1, um, you know, um, that means AES-NI is enabled. Okay, so let's look at my example. So I have an ESXi running on my NUC. Let's jump into that. Get that command. This one. All right. So here ESX column 1. So that's the value. Once you do that, convert. Yeah. As you can see, the 25th bit from the right is indeed 1, which means AES-NI is enabled on this ESXi host, so we are good. All right. So, so the best way for you to ensure that your ESXi environment is compliant is just share this with your server team, this particular, page, and ask them to go through the hardware that they have installed, whether the hardware that they have on the host is compatible, is running the right firmware version, so on and so forth, right? So once you have ensured everything is fine, next step is to create, your edge, your edge in your VCO. Test edge 1, virtual edge, the profile you want to have. The rest of the details can stay as is. Add an edge. So once you add an edge, you get an activation key, which we will use in our cloud init configuration. So yeah, so when it comes to running a virtual edge in ESXi, the best practice recommendation is use of cloud init ISO image. So again, if you look up cloud init, Velocloud in Google, you'll land on this page. Select the right version. Essentially, what we have is we need to create two files. One is metadata, other is user data. In metadata, you add things like host name, instance name, which can be the same, instance ID. Um, and in this file, you specify all the different LAN and WAN interfaces, also HA if you're running HA. And different interfaces will have different IPs. So based on your topology, configure different interfaces accordingly. So that's your metadata. Next one is user data, where you specify things like password, like this is the CLI password. When you jump from the CLI on your edge, that's the password which will get used. Default username, as you know, is root for CLI. Change of password is you know expiration is false. You are allowed to SSH using SSH onto the box, so that's true. And this is the meat of it. You need to specify which VCO you need to activate this edge on, what the activation key is, and ensure that you set this to true. So this is VCO ignore certificate, right? So once you have those two files created, essentially you use a Linux utility, GenISO image, supply the two files, and the net result would be an ISO file which embeds all this information, which you will use in your ESXi, to activate the edge. Now, bear in mind there is a typo in this in this document. Network data is no longer in use, so you can ignore that. So yeah, let's look at creating. Let's create an ISO image, basically. So here I have already created a metadata file with my topology. I've just named this particular edge test edge. My, my, my IP address is this. So this is the WAN IP address which the edge will use. It's using GG3 interface. In user data, I've specified the password that I need to configure for that edge, and this is the CLI password. And my VCO is VCO301, so I've just did an NS lookup to check what the IP address is for VCO301. And by the way, you can specify FQDN as well. Activation key, I think that's the different activation key I need to change. Okay, so that's the one I pick. And it goes here, it goes here. And in Mac, there's a different utility. This is, by the way, for Linux. So for Mac, use make ISFS. Copy this. Till metadata, as you know, network data is no longer in use. And you have your seed ISO created. So you need to upload this in your ESXi environment. So I'm just going to rename this to 123. Okay. So next step, go to your ESXi. Before that, upload the ISO image. Upload the ISO image. Done. All right, that's that. Now this is where you create your virtual edge. So create a VM, select OVA, drop your OVA image here. So I'm using 6101. Give it a name, test edge 1. Next, next. You can leave this as is for now. Ensure you turn this off. Finish. All right, so while it's doing the upload, you know, click there and just wait a few seconds until this is finished because we need to change a few things here. So it's still not finished, but yeah, let me just quickly go through this. So as you know from prerequisites, you need to change your DRAM to at least 8 gigs. So we'll do that. Um, so as you can see, you don't see Gigi 1, 2, 3 here. You see network adapters. Uh, but the first adapter maps to Gigi 1, second to Gigi 2, so on and so forth. Based on your topology, you need to select which particular virtual switch port group each interface needs to be, which ones need to be connected. And as soon as it's done, based on my topology, I will make a few changes. All right, almost done. Perfect. So click Edit, change this to the minimum requirement. I am I don't need Gig E2, Gig E3 is what I'll use. The rest can be deleted. And I have to to internet, one is direct internet, so I'll use that. So this is where we will attach the ISO image which we created. I just had to rename because I had another file with the same name, so don't worry about 123. So yeah, so at this point I have reconfigured this VM to match my topology. I've set the right resources, attached the right ISO cloud init ISO image. So I can save this. And at this stage, if I turn this on, sorry, I just need to do something real quick. It's running by the way, but yeah, I'm just going to assign 6101 operator profile as well to my test edge. So yeah, now it's doing its thing. It will load the information from Cloud Init. As you can see, starting Cloud Init, it's finished reading Cloud Init. It is now trying, activation attempts to the VCO IP that we have mentioned here. You'll see this IP show up in a minute. Yep, 52.16.95.106. It has successfully activated. So let's go here. It's integrated. That's okay. It's fully activated. Yeah, let's just give it a minute. If I hit enter, just a moment, let's see. Yeah, as you can see, I just hit enter by the way, and I will try to log in with root W0RD. Yep, okay. All right, it's still doing its thing, but yeah, essentially um, this is activated. All right, so I'll pause the video here, but yeah, that was a quick rundown of how we can spin up the edge. So quickly back up. We have a prerequisites file which we can go through and work with your server admin to ensure your ESXi environment is compliant and the virtual VM that you're creating is following the best practice recommendation. Ensure AESNI is supported using this KB article. Create a cloud init file for your activation using this particular document. Specify your interface details based on your topology, the VCO and activation key. Create the ISO image, upload the ISO image on your ESXi, attach it to your VM, and reconfigure the VM based on your topology, and yeah, power it on. It should ideally get activated. Thank you.